Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about a topic that could be really tough and it leaves a lot of people in pain, isolated, and just totally confused. This is how to heal from a manipulative relationship. My name is Vergia Davidson. I'm a mental health consultant. I help managers to keep top performers happy at work. Welcome to Strive Effect. Let's talk about it. Dealing with a narcissistic relationship is hard enough, but what's super important to remember is be patient. And as I go through these 5 tips on how to heal, be mindful that everyone has a different timeline, but it's important to know there is help and there's hope there. The first thing I'll share is it's important to demystify the spell. So remember in my previous video, I talked about sometimes they could be very charismatic and very charming. So with that comes this fairy tale feeling. But we take apart the pattern by writing it down. And it can feel like a spell, like they're drawing you in and it feels so good. But then when they start chipping away at your sense of self, so when you take the time to first pause and to stop and think, when did the relationship start to feel a little off? When did I start to change? When did I start to step back? What are some of the red flags I realize? When you take the time to write down kind of the timeline of your relationship, it can really help you to start to build a case towards your healing. The other thing I'll share is tip number 2, letting go of the fantasy. Being with a narcissist, it could feel surreal. Because remember we talked about in the previous video that they get you to second guess yourself. So in times when you're like, oh, I miss this person, I want to be with this person, take the time to write down what you dislike about them and start making that list as early as you can. Because as much as you're like, I just want to get out of this, sometimes being intentional and reflective can really make the difference in terms of the why of why you're not there versus just the feeling. Third tip I'll share is feel your emotions, feel the feelings. Because I've heard many times, I've seen many clients, I've heard many stories of what it's like to be with a narcissist. And if we don't take the time to feel the feelings, we'll be back at square one. I remember I had a client where they had enough. They're like, I don't want to be with this person's so self-absorbed, it's really not about me. They packed their bags, they left. But then it took them almost a year to start to feel the feelings because they got super busy with work, with school, with just passion projects, and they forgot to allow themselves to grieve the relationship and to allow themselves to be real. Because sometimes if you miss that person and everyone's like, hey, this person's so bad, and they paint that person to be the villain, at times you feel like, I can't really share that I miss the person or I still want to be with the person, because if you do, you look crazy, right? When you allow yourself to feel the feelings, then when you decide you don't want this anymore, and when you want to leave, you have a fighting chance. Because the ones that run out, they naturally run back in. And then they have this yo-yo dynamic. So don't be afraid to take your time and to build a case. When you leave, you can actually be intentional and it can last a lot longer than the feeling. Tip number 4, learn from your past. I know it could be really tough and it could be really challenging, especially when you write your list of what you dislike, the pros and cons of the relationship, the chronological order of the relationship, maybe all the things that you went through. It could literally feel daunting and the weight could be so heavy. I totally get it. But it's so important to use it as a learning opportunity, not as a beating stick to beat yourself down. Because if you beat yourself down for all the things and all the mistakes that you made, a lot of times people tend to just go right back because they're like, I just don't know any different. So take the time to write down what are the red flags. So then when you choose to move on, you have a list. What are the green flags in a relationship? So this can almost be like a guide. What is it that, you want? What are the things that you believe in? And this brings me to my final tip. Focus on you. Because your sense of self often is chipped away within a narcissistic relationship, getting out will be like, oh my God, Alice in Wonderland. It will be like learning the new you. And at times it could be scary because it might be 10 years, it might be 15 years, it might be a year that you got back to being you. So focus on your hobbies, focus on your friendships, the ones that are life-giving. Focus on getting to know you in this time and make it a mission to really, truly love yourself. Because if you don't get back to that, you'll notice yourself really missing the person. And that's okay because maybe you've been with that person for a while, but that missing and that longing, you can find yourself going right back. So as you get to love yourself and nurture you, don't be afraid to live life out loud. I know it will be a challenge, but it's possible. I've helped countless people get out of these situations, and you can do it too. But don't do it alone. I hope these tips were helpful. Be sure to like or hit the subscribe button. Until next time.